It's KNPR State of Nevada. I'm Dave Becker. America's favorite cowboys, that would be the band Riders in the Sky, will perform this week at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering in Elko. If you haven't heard of the group, you might recognize some of their music. They played many times on A Prairie Home Companion. You might recognize them from Toy Story 2. The Riders play traditional cowboy music, but they sprinkle some humor in there as well. And we've got three of the members of the ensemble with us now to talk about the music, play a little bit, and talk about what it means to be appearing at the Cowboy Poetry Gathering. With us, guitarist and singer Ranger Doug, accordionist Joey the Cow Polka King, and guitarist and bassist Too Slim. They are joining us from Nashville. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dave. Glad to be here.
Glad to be your deputy, Dave. This is Too Slim over on the left-hand side of your dial.
This is Joey on the right-hand side of your dial.
And Ranger Doug right down the middle.
Square down the middle. All right. Hey, Ranger Doug, before you guys formed Riders in the Sky in 1977, you were a country music journalist. How does a guy get from writing about country music to performing it?
Well, how does a guy... No, I better not say that.
Oh,
it's so close, though. I don't know. I was always a singer and performer first, but I could put words together in a coherent sentence and tried to make a little bit of a living that way while I waited for the musical sun to rise in my life.
That was coherent.
That's nice and poetic, too.
Very beautiful.
Wow.
So, Too Slim,
Yes.
I get, as I understand it, Ranger Doug managed to talk you into becoming a part of this project. How did he do that?
Well, a friend of ours canceled a gig here in Nashville, and Ranger Doug called me up. He was Deputy Doug, actually, in those days. He called me up and said, Fred, which was my name before I was Too Slim, let's play this show, and we'll just play cowboy music and old-time cowboy, Sons of the Pioneers and Roy Rogers and Gene Autry songs. And I said, that's great. I don't have a hat. He said, I'll bring you a hat. So he brought me a hat, and we had so much fun resurrecting and trying to perform this great cowboy music that was kind of forgotten on the American cultural landscape. And here we are 36 years later in a studio talking to you in Las Vegas and still playing cowboy music. It's pretty astounding. Yeah,
pretty amazing. Joey the Cow Polka King, you joined the band a little bit later. How did you come to be a part of Riders?
Well, Dave, you know, there used to be a great radio show on public radio called Riders Radio Theater, and it was done right here in Nashville on WPLN. And I got a call from the boys one day and said, would you like to be a guest in the radio show? And I said, well, I don't have a hat. And Ranger Doug says, well, I've got a hat. And the rest is history. That's it.
That was all it took, was it?
Yeah, you just got to have a hat. Dave, I hope you have a hat.
I do have a hat.
That's
actually.
Great. Want to be in a band?
Oh, it's that easy, is it?
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
all it takes.
And when you guys came onto the scene in the late 70s, country music had kind of changed, even split a little bit. There was outlaw country that had been around for a while. Waylon and Willie had gone back to Texas a few years before. Pop music and country were starting to kind of interchange with each other. And yet you guys found, or rediscovered, if you will, or reinvigorated this niche, talking about Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, Sons of the Pioneers and such. What led you into that musical territory?
Well, if you think about the history of country music, both historically and contemporarily, there are a lot of niches in fact, in all of American music. You have Zydeco and polka and Western swing and Delta blues, and they're all valid. They all have their traditions and their history. We just love the traditions and the history and the songs of the West that we felt were being kind of shuffled into the nostalgia corner. So we tried to pull them out of the nostalgia corner and make those songs live and breathe and resonate with the young next generation.
This might be a good time to ask you to play a little something so our listeners get a good sense of what we're talking about.
What about you, boys? Should we do, how about a little bit back on those Texas plains?
1, 2, 3.
I wanna drink my java from an old tin can while the moon goes riding high. I wanna hear the sound of the whippoorwill. I wanna hear the coyotes cry. I wanna feel my saddle horse between my legs, riding him out on the range, just to kick him in the side, make him show his step and pride, back on those Texas plains.
Somehow it seems I'm back in my dreams, way back where I belong.
just an old cowhand from the Rio Grande. I'm going back where I was born.
Oh, these city ways and these city lights are driving me insane. I wanna be alone, I wanna be back home, back on those Texas plains. Well, mighty fine and a great big western howdy, it's Riders in the Sky. America's favorite cowboys bring you the best in western music live and direct from public radio. So don't touch that dial, saddle pals, it wouldn't be the cowboy way.
I wanna drink my java from that old tin can while the moon goes riding high. I wanna hear the sound of the whippoorwill. I wanna hear the coyotes cry. I wanna feel my saddle horse between my legs, riding him out on the range, just to kick him into the side, make him show a step of pride. Back on those Texas plains, back on those Texas plains.
Oh, gents, I got to tell you, we're listening to this from our end of the conversation, listening over a phone line, and I got to tell you, it sounds exactly like the AM radio in my dad's '65 Chevy Bel Air.
That's the idea.
It couldn't be more perfect. It just absolutely couldn't.
Great.
We are talking with members of Riders in the Sky. Ranger Doug, Joey the Cowpolka King, and Too Slim are with us.
Yes, sir.
They perform at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering a little later this week at the gathering in Elko. How has the show evolved over the years? I mean, you got 30 some years under your belts. How have things kind of evolved for you over time?
Well, we played early on in little beer joints, and so the show was R-rated. But then people started bringing their kids, and so it became much more PG, and then finally kind of a G-rated show.
And then the Grammys came along.
And everything got great.
I wanted to ask you about that with playing with kids in mind. You guys have got a really strong following among young people.
That's one of the blessings of being in Toy Story 2 is that cowboys and cowboy music and Riders in the Sky were exposed to a pretty wide swath of that generation. So it's great that they come out to the shows now, and people who remember it from their childhood want their kids to be part of this, part of cowboys and part of cowboy music and cowboy culture, and they bring their kids too. Because they know it's fun. It's fun and it's adventure and it's good, clean fun. That's all I say.
That was Side Meat, our cook. He snuck in here to make a comment.
That's right.
Well, you guys are you're country musicians who live in Nashville, so you're kind of at home there. What do cowboys like you have in common with the cowboys in Elko who are way out there on the range in the high desert?
The guys way out there in the...
More Starbucks here.
More Starbucks. That's what it is.
We're way out there in our own way.
Well, we first came to Elko in 1985. Wasn't that the first one? I think this is the 30th. What's great about Elko this year is the 30th anniversary. And we've played there many, many times.
We were there at the second one.
And I think when some of the real buckaroos saw us the first time, they were like, wait a minute, what is this? Who are these guys? But then they saw that we're really serious about trying to do the music correctly, and we're having fun with Hollywood's version, sort of what they do, and so they sort of I think we've been accepted. I mean, they have us back many, many times, so that must mean something.
Do they look at you and they see kindred spirits?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not kindred lives, very different lives, but very much kindred spirits, because there's one thing that unites us all is a love of the West and the wanting to keep the traditions of the West alive.
The gathering is about keeping a Western tradition alive, which certainly kind of fits into a little bit of what you do with the music you're preserving.
A little?
Yeah. I have a gift for understatement. Keeping these old traditions alive is really important to you guys, isn't it?
I think it is important. I think it speaks to all the great values, family and hard work and standing by your word. And, it's a complicated world out there, but there are still a few straight ahead precepts that seem to resonate. And cowboy music speaks to that, I think. So,
when you say it resonates, what do you think the appeal of the cowboy is? I mean, kids today still love cowboys. Why does that appeal endure from generation to generation?
Well, I think in musical terms, it's hard for a kid. I know it was hard for me as a kid to care too much about unfaithful spouses and broken love affairs and getting drunk and falling off the bar stool. But one thing I could really get is getting on a horse and riding around there with your friends and singing songs that all about the outdoors. That made a lot of sense to me, and I guess I still feel the same way.
Yeah. Hey, have you guys got another tune in you that'll give us a taste of what you play Thursday?
Absolutely. So
wonderful.
We're going to do a little tumbling tumbleweeds here. What do you
try
say,
that?
Joey?
Okay.
Here we go.
One of the great classic songs of the West.
See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed. Cares of the past are behind, nowhere to go but I'll find just where the trail will wind, drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed. I know when night has gone that a new world's born at dawn. I keep rolling along. Deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed, drifting along with the tumble and
Drifting along with the
Doesn't that sort of say it all? Lonely but free I'll be found. I mean, that's the appeal of Western music, is just self-reliance and closeness to nature.
Yeah, it really is a perfect expression of that, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
It's a kind of a uniquely American kind of music too. It's such the music's fascinating to play and to still be involved with, because it's a mixture of jazz and folk and country and Dixieland. There's polkas in there. There's Celtic music. So there's all those different flavors, and we're as four different musicians with four different backgrounds, and it's fun to see how all those influences come out in what Riders in the Sky presents.
Well, it seems to me too that one of the things that you have to do is you've got to have a sense of authenticity with this. When you're playing this, you really do have to feel it, don't you? You got to get into the songs and understand what those songs are about if you're going to convey them to the audience.
That's true of any and every music, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I think so.
it would seem to be, and yet I suppose if we the Grammy Awards or other such things or performances where you see lip syncing going on all over the place,
not to mention twerking
and twerking. Don't get us started on twerking. That just doesn't seem like the cowboy way somehow.
Well, people. One of the things we often hear at shows is it's refreshing to hear people playing acoustic instruments, and they can understand what we say, and it's not overpoweringly loud, but it's fun and it's energetic, and it's so unhip that it's hip.
Yeah. So where do you guys, when you're going back into time a little bit, and you're finding some of these older songs? I mean, Tumbling Tumbleweeds, you got Sons of the Pioneers, and you got the link to Roy Rogers and all that. But for a lot of the other songs that maybe aren't quite as well known, where do you go to find those? Where do you discover the really great gems in cowboy music?
Well, I have a collection of thousands of cowboy songs, and it's almost an endless treasure trove. There were so many gifted songwriters back in those days. And Tim Spencer and Bob Nolan wrote, hundreds of songs each, and the handful of the greats, but there's a whole nother tier of fantastic songs that nobody's done or have been done very, very seldom. So it's really not hard we could fill up album after album of great Western music that has been very under-recorded.
Would you be willing to play us out with something that the crowds might hear in Elko at the Poetry Gathering?
Give me a pinto, pal, give me a guitar.
Give him a guitar.
And the western moon with its beams. Give me a certain cowgirl, bright as a star, sweetest one in all my dreams. Give me a trail that's filled with flowers and birds, where the mountains meet the sky. Give me a pinto, pal, and a yodel-dee. Let me live there till I die. Yodel, yodel, dee, yodel, yodel, and we'll watch the world go by. Give me a pinto, pal, and a yodel-dee. Let me live there till I die. Yodel, yodel-dee, yodel-dee, yodel-dee.
Ranger Doug plays guitar and sings. Joey, the Cowpolka King, plays accordion. Too Slim plays guitar and stand-up bass. 3/4 of Riders in the Sky.
Don't forget Woody Paul, the king of the cowboy fiddlers, who couldn't make it today.
But he will be with us in Elko.
He will be on stage in Elko as the Riders in the Sky performs at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. Guys, it's been such fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. It has been
I'm going to
fun.
get in my 65 Bel Air here and drive into the sunset.
Listen to the AM radio.
Perfect. Yeah, you'll hear it.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Who cares about the clouds when we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. And happy trails to you.
And you too, Dave.
Till we meet.
Listen to public radio every day.
Always drink upstream from the herd.
Yeah.
And may the horse be with you. That's right, boys!
Wait for me,